Hey, welcome back to Rapid Flow. My name is Eric, and today we're covering a topic that's been asked a lot about on my channel, which is what is the best Mac to get for music production? I'm going to cover everything from entry-level machines all the way to top spec. What are the things to watch out for? How you can save money on Apple's configurator? And also, if you're looking at more budget options, for example, used, stick around till the end of this video because I'm also going to be covering that, as well as how you get the most life from a MacBook if you do end up going the used route. All right, let's dive in. So first of all, maybe to get that off the table, why Mac, why not PC? There's a couple of reasons. I think the main one is it's generally now accepted and known that M-type processors that Mac does, where everything's on a chip, are more heat efficient, more energy efficient, and faster, especially for the wattage, compared to whatever is available right now in Windows land. And of course, you can build a good Windows machine for making music with. It will be a bit more cost effective, and I've had that before, but I would not recommend you to go that route for the main reason, which is Macs just work. If you go to any stage and any festival, there will be maybe 10% of artists that are running a live set or a DJ setup off of a PC, 90% use a Mac. And the reason for that is that they are stable and they don't cause headaches. When you install something, you never have to look for some driver or, it's just available. You put it in. When you tweak something, when you do something, it's all really easy. It's very stable. It's quite resistant to viruses. There are viruses, but generally speaking, if you want a system that just works and is really well laid out for audio, video, multimedia, Macs are really, really good. And considering how powerful they are now, I think also the asking price, though high, is somehow justified. And actually, for you to know, PC chip developers are now actually starting to look at how they can build their own RISC-type processors, and they are going in that direction because they know that Apple right now has a big lead in how fast their processors are and how cool they stay under load. Like what I'm doing right now with my MacBook here, running OBS with 6 4K video streams and Ableton running all at the same time while recording 4K video. If I was doing this on a PC laptop now, you would hear a vacuum cleaner in the background because it would be blasting its fans all the way. I think the first most important decision you need to make and you need to ask yourself in order to find the right MacBook for yourself is what kind of work are you going to be doing with it? And not in like 5 or 10 years, but right now and maybe 12 to max 24 months out. If you're a bedroom producer that's just getting started with music, a MacBook Pro is complete overkill in my opinion. Now, if you're an intermediate producer that's starting to get more into maybe more CPU heavy instruments or even maybe streaming sample libraries for orchestras and things like that, then I think, yes, a MacBook Pro makes a lot of sense, and for a beginner producer, I would rather look at a MacBook Air. Now, the MacBook Neo, which is out there now, I would not recommend it. It's a phone processor, which while not bad, it's not proven, and if you want to make music, you definitely don't want to go the path of something that's underpowered and then waste money when you replace it maybe a year down the road. If you're more like a semi-professional, professional musician or studio, you may also want to consider, rather than beefing up your MacBook Pro to maybe a higher CPU model, to actually go for a Mac Studio. And there are very many good reasons why, and I'm going to cover that for you in just a second. But in order to tie this off, I'm going to show you now the configurations I would recommend for you based on what's available in the Apple Store. This is the MacBook Air. So what I would recommend you to get is probably, I would say, the 15-inch, because if you're a beginning producer, you're probably not also having a separate display. You may take it with you to a friend's place, capture some vocals, jam together, and 13-inch, while great for the road, is too small to really work on. The price difference is also not that huge, and the screens on Macs are generally really great. I would recommend you that. Color, of course, up to you. Unified memory, 16 gig is the bare minimum for a music machine. I mean, it's well spec'd, but it's the minimum. I would definitely not go below that on a MacBook Air. If you want to have a little bit of leeway, you could consider updating to 24, but if you're a beginner, I wouldn't recommend that right away. Now, this is the part where Apple gets you. SSD storage. 512 gigs of internal storage on the Mac is low. I'll be honest with you. You'll install your OS, your DAW, a couple of instruments, etc., and you'll quickly start to come to the place where that disk fills up. Now, you can, of course, tweak this up to 1 terabyte, which may be worth it, but I would instead recommend you to get a Thunderbolt enclosure like this one, which I use. As you can see here, if you speak German, I bought this in 2023. It's sitting right up there Air with my Mac, and you can connect this via Thunderbolt 4 to your Mac, and inside it plays one of these so-called NVMe hard drives, for example, from Samsung. And for the price of 400 euros, you would be getting, so combined with the enclosure, you would be getting a little more than what you would pay for 1 terabyte. You're getting 2 terabytes. And these things are insanely fast. Like, you don't notice any difference with them compared to the internal memory. They're just ridiculous. You drop a big video file to it, it just blasts on there in like 3 seconds. So if you're like, I don't know if I can be hassled with an external drive, sure. Going for 1 terabyte more is probably a worthwhile investment, but don't do that if you don't have speakers or at least a pair of good headphones and an audio interface, because you will need that to make music, especially a low latency audio interface. All right, so let's find out if a MacBook Air can actually match the performance of a MacBook Pro. Both the ones I'm going to show you right now are a MacBook Air with an M1 processor and 16 gigs of RAM. And on my main computer, we're actually running the DNA suite, which is our most advanced Ableton template. If you haven't checked it out already, go check it out over on rapidflow.shop. This thing will sort out your mixes and give you a lot of really cool controller-based workflows. So let's play it from the main computer and let's have a listen. So there it is, and as you can see, it's not really stressing the CPU. There's a lot of other stuff going on here with all the captures that are happening on the same machine. But now, let's also have a look. Will my MacBook Air run the same template? It's also got the DNA suite loaded. I'm going to just select the right output for it. I've just connected it straight to the headphone output. If I was using a proper sound card, performance would actually even be a bit better. Let's have a listen. And CPU performance is like around 20% with this right now. So I think this very clearly proves that a MacBook Air is absolutely a capable studio machine, even if it's only an M1 model. So yes, I hope that gives you an idea of just how powerful these MacBook Airs are. And if you combine this with the Noctua trick, which I will show you in this video to cool this, you have a very, very capable machine that will very likely not thermal throttle. All right, let's move on. More into the intermediate producers and people that are already sort of getting their footing in the scene, maybe starting to play first gigs or already doing more full-blown productions, I would recommend a MacBook Pro. The difference between a MacBook Pro and a Mac Studio comes down to how often you're gigging. If you're gigging a lot, of course, you want a laptop, and Frank Wiedemann once said on a course of his I followed that he just buys a sick MacBook Pro every 4 or 5 years, full spec, and that's his machine, which he does everything with. Meaning when he comes to the studio, he just plugs it in, everything's there and works. When he goes to play a gig, takes it with him, plugs it to the PA, everything's there and works. So you don't have to think about transferring files and maybe your main kick drum for your hit is missing from that hard drive and then your track won't play, right? This is where it gets interesting. The Max chip, primarily what it does is enables you to get bigger options for RAM, which you're totally covered with the Pro chip, so there's no need to get it for that. The other thing that it adds or brings to the table is additional GPU, so video processing power. And for example, my MacBook Pro here is a Max model, and I'm very grateful I picked that because I'm running right now 6 4K cameras in this studio at the same time, all piped into the Mac, capturing on OBS while also running Ableton. And I do that regularly, especially while also live streaming to YouTube. If I did not have a Max computer, it couldn't handle that, very likely. If you're planning on capturing yourself with multiple cameras or doing video exports or, you know, movies or anything like that, then getting a Max chip is justified. If not, you are totally covered. If it's just music you're after, you are totally covered with the Pro chip. Where I would invest that money instead is in RAM. Unified memory, I think 24 for a machine of this caliber is definitely too low. Once I've launched all of sort of my plugins and things in Ableton, I easily get up to 48. And my machine has 64, and when I'm running OBS and all the stuff, it hits the limit. It works, but it's at the bare limit. Now, if you want to have like a longer lifespan on the machine, investing the extra money in 64 is probably prudent, but you should be fine with 48 unless you add on additional video workflows later, then you will be happy for the 64. And again, I think the default 1 terabyte storage that it comes with is absolutely fine. The price jump for bigger storage is huge, and really I think it's a ripoff. So again, I would go for an enclosure with a big NVMe M2 Thunderbolt, very important. Don't get a USB-C enclosure. Make sure it's Thunderbolt because it'll be way faster connected to a Mac. A very important final detail, if you want to run a lot of displays in your studio for meters and maybe your mixer somewhere separate, etc., be aware that the Pro chip will only let you connect 3 external monitors and the Max chip will let you connect 4. It doesn't matter how many ports it has, it's to do with the GPU. So if you know you're going to want a ton of displays in your studio, make sure that you get the Max because yeah, it adds that additional one. Going now to the fuller version, assuming now that you will be running video workflows, I would configure it with the Max chip. I would definitely boost the processing and graphics, etc. You will be very grateful down the line. I would definitely boost to minimum 64 gig RAM and storage includes 2 terabyte. That's cool. So this would set you back, now we're already in the serious money bracket, this would set you back 5,400 before tax. We make the display smaller to 5 grand. And I have a great tip for you here, how you can get this kind of performance cheaper. When the newest line of machines come out, a lot of sort of weird secondary shops that are not Apple shops or, you know, they're Apple redistributors, they will sell the outgoing model way cheaper, new in box, sealed with Apple Care guarantee, everything. That is exactly how I got my M1 Max. I waited till the M2s came out and I got that for about 40% off. I think actually an M5 or M4 or M3 chip are overkill if you're just doing music. I would recommend an M1 or an M2. It's absolutely enough. The main 2 reasons to get a Mac Studio is not price, and it's not because it's a nice little box. It's because it has more Thunderbolt ports and because you can spec it up higher without having to sell a kidney. Let's configure a Mac Studio for, let's go all out. I would recommend you, here we go, to get the M4 Max chip with the GPU upgrade and 96? Oh, okay, we can't. 64 gigs, that's what we can do right now on a Mac Studio. Ideally, I would configure this with 128 gigs of RAM, or 96 at the minimum. 64 is like 16 on the MacBook Air. It's the bare minimum. Then yes, 512 is absolutely enough, and I'd invest in maybe a docking station for it, which is like a little box you put underneath that blows more cool air into it, and you can put 2 NVMe drives like I showed you in there, and it connects to the whole thing with a Thunderbolt cable. That's probably what I would get myself. So for this machine, as it sits on the page here now, you're looking at 3.5 before taxes. And that's actually what these things are selling used for right now because they're in such high demand. Look at the delivery time on this machine. And nobody's really stoked about buying this machine new right now because everyone knows the M5 is coming to the studio line pretty soon. I would not recommend you to buy this right now. Either wait or get a used one as a tie-over machine until you can get the M5 if this is the way you want to go. Because it should be out fall or early 2027 at the latest. And the reason why I recommend this machine for, let's say, more professional use, it's the ports. As you can see, in the front, we have 2 USB-C, so like kind of more slow-ish ports, and 4 Thunderbolt ports on the back. That's 1 more than any MacBook Pro has. As my amazing editor Leon was editing this video, we realized I didn't cover the Mac Mini, which is actually a great path into the Apple ecosystem and probably the most cost-effective option. Of course, it's not that suitable for live gigs, but let's get into it. Let me configure one with you. So we've really covered everything. And while I haven't used this one personally, a good friend of mine, Chelly Earthling, he uses this and he's told me it's amazing. It just does everything. And he does Sidetrans, which I'm sure you know is like super complex, a million plugins. So here we go. If you're looking at a Mac Mini, you're going to want probably the most cost-effective option. So yeah, 16 gig is included. That's great. 256 is hard on the edge. Ooh, I think I would recommend you to get the 500. I think this is too small. You won't be happy with that. You're going to run out of space super fast. So yes, I would go for the 512 update on the storage. You don't need the faster Ethernet, that's fast enough for sure, and it has super fast Wi-Fi on board also. So this setup would set you back $1,000 before taxes. And if you go to the Pro chip, let's keep the GPU low, 24 gigs, that's rather nice to have, and a terabyte. It's a shame they don't add the storage there. So this puts it at $18.99. At that point, I'd be going for a laptop. So yeah, if you want the lowest cost option to get going with a brand new machine, yes, the Mac Mini could be a good one, and this you could scrape by on it, but I think the $200 here is well spent. All right, now we really have covered everything. There is also like iMacs and stuff, but I don't think they're super relevant for what we're doing here. So these are the machines I would recommend to you. A big part of what you need to know when you're buying a Mac Studio is you will definitely need a dock. The best on the market is this CalDigit guy. Plan another $600 for that. This is the Thunderbolt 4 dock because this machine can only do 4. This gives you a ton of USB-C, USB-A, so 3 speed, and on the back is 2 additional Thunderbolt ports so that you can connect hubs to this. Each of those Thunderbolt ports will control that hub separately, and you can connect all of your media devices to, for example, 2 USB hubs, and everything will be split nicely into the Macs, and you're not going to completely clog up the USB bus. This machine has connected to it my DisplayLink display. It has connected to it my sound card. It has connected to it a hub which has all of my MIDI peripherals and some video cameras. And it has connected to it another hub which has more video cameras and more controllers. So this thing has a lot of load on it already, and it's sort of at the edge of what it can cope with. So this is another Thunderbolt dock that I now have connected. It's manufactured by Wavelink, and this is the version that does not have a display port, but you can connect a display to it very easily because Thunderbolt handles that natively with a little dongle like that, you see? This is absolutely the one I would recommend to you because you connect one Thunderbolt cable additionally. So here's my hub that I just showed you on one Thunderbolt cable. Then you take this Thunderbolt cable and connect it to this secondary Thunderbolt dock, and this is a third the price of the CalDigit, and so far it's been working great. And you get 3 more downstream Thunderbolt ports from it, as well as a couple of USB 3 ports from it. So this extends the things you can connect to your Mac via its own port that's piped straight into the CPU by a ton. And without this, if you're running a complex studio like I am with so many machines, USB connections, you know, all of this madness that you see back here and a ridiculous amount of controllers, you can't squeeze everything through one Thunderbolt cable. It's just not going to happen. As you know, probably thermal throttling is a thing, but I found a solution. This is a Noctua, normally computer, CPU, whatever fan. And the cool thing about this is this runs on 5 volts. It has like a little cable here that's now plugged into one of the power ports. And this thing is always just in the back here, silently cooling the bottom of my laptop where its own fans are and also where I think the CPU is, as well as my NVMe drive, which used to get insanely hot. So this thing is basically adding additional cooling flow to my Mac 24/7, and because it's so silent, I don't really hear it, and I propped up the whole Mac on boxes to give it a bit more space to ventilate, and also so the fan noise doesn't reach me. So this thing was like the best $30 I ever spent, because even during long YouTube streams now, I don't get thermal throttling problems because my Mac is overheating. So little insider tip, we'll put links to all of the things I've shown you today in the description. This thing was super cool to get and very, very, very useful. So if you're still here, you're probably interested in the budget options, which is honestly also how I roll. What I would highly recommend you, I think the ideal Mac for someone that's budget conscious but wants to have power, and we're going to do this again by beginner, intermediate, advanced. For a beginner, I would recommend you to get an M1 Pro and just get 16 gigabytes RAM minimum and whatever internal storage it comes with. Make sure that it's been treated well. Ideally buy it from a reseller that gives you a couple of months guarantee on it. Remove all of the junk installs and things that are going to update themselves in the background like we show on this video here, and you'll be on your way, and I'm sure you'll have zero problems making music with that machine, and you'll be able to invest some money in maybe room treatment, maybe some more software, maybe headphones, maybe good MIDI controllers. That's absolutely the way I would go for a beginner today. And if you're very tight on budget, a MacBook Air would do it as well, but I don't think the difference between a MacBook Air and a MacBook Pro 14-inch is so huge that it would be worth dealing with the fact that a MacBook Air has no fans and it will likely thermal throttle sooner. If you're an intermediate and you're looking on the used market, I would recommend you to get an M1 Max, which is the same machine I have, and you can see what it's running here now. It's pretty insane. And get, I would say, 32 gigs of RAM, and then whatever storage it comes with. About the Mac Studio, I think this is the setup I would recommend for you. The M4 Max chip, I would upgrade its GPU a little. If you're getting this machine, it's because you're going to be doing more than just audio, very likely, or you'll want to have that in case you end up doing more complex stuff. I wouldn't go for the Ultra chip. It's insane what it costs now, especially it's an M3. We're waiting for the M5 model to come out. 64 gig is the best you can get on the Max chip. And then yeah, 512 with an expansion slot that gives you multiple NVMe's NVMEs or at least one NVMe. There's also combinations of one NVMe and one HDD, which means you could get a 16 terabyte normal drive in the expansion for storage of stuff and then a fast NVMe for working memory. That's probably what I would recommend to get, and we will put a link to that special machine. It's OWC that makes it in the description also, so you can just go there straight away and find it if that's what you're interested in. Because yeah, having super fast storage is great, but also having a very large storage to shift stuff to is amazing, very recommended. Know that if you're looking on the used market and it happens to have a keyboard that is not what you're used to type on, you can actually pop those keys off. And online on certain websites, you can order keys that look like they came out of the same factory with the printing on them like you're used to. You just pop them on and click them on. So I changed this keyboard from Swiss German to normal German because I lived in Germany too long. Speaking on the longevity of Macs, there is one app that I can highly recommend. This is called Al Dente. It keeps your battery from never charging to over 80%, which protects its battery life and means your battery will last years longer than if you let it go all the way up to 100 and sit there while it's connected on your desktop. Always keep the original Mac charger connected, even if you have a USB-C Thunderbolt port giving it power, because it charges more cleanly and efficiently using its own charger. If you're using it like me in clamshell mode, just closed and you're not really running the screen much, make sure you clean the screen really good with like isopropyl alcohol at your own risk and put something on it like a sheet of paper or whatever so that the keys don't touch the screen, because the keys, if they have finger, whatever it is we have on our fingers on there and they are touching your screen the whole time, it will burn little lines into your screen. A couple of little things that I've come across that will help you keep your MacBook going for longer and in better shape and actually also add to its resale value. I would definitely stay away from Intel machines. They are nowhere near as powerful as the M machines, and you need minimum sort of an M1 level machine to basically never worry about your CPU meter in the door again, which is, since I got this M1 Max, I've never really looked at my CPU meter. It's somehow taken everything I've thrown at it. To conclude, what's the best Mac for music production? Anything with an M1 or higher in it will do the job just great. Now, with what I've shared with you on this video related to thermal throttling, port count, RAM, storage, size of the display, I think you'll be able to make a very informed decision if you're going to go the path of getting an M1 of some level used, which is exactly the machine you should be aiming for. And if you're going to go to the store and splash out, you now also have a very good understanding of what is included, what you need to look out for. To summarize, make sure your RAM is not too low, make sure that the max processor is only used if you need a ton of GPU processing or up to 4 external screens, and otherwise take that money, just boost up your RAM and take the leftover money so you can buy cool stuff for your studio like speakers, acoustic treatment, good headphones, Slate VSX, good controllers, a fat polyphonic synth maybe, stuff like that. And maybe to conclude that I think Macs are, even though pricey, absolutely the best way to go for a musician in many creative pursuits, because they don't get in the way of creativity. And maybe this is an important topic to conclude on. The amount of times my PC interrupted my flow because something dropped out, stopped working, the sound card disconnected itself, an individual ASIO channel of the sound card disconnected itself. Shout out to the people that saw that happen on one of my first videos. That kind of stuff just doesn't happen on a Mac. Literally, my Ableton has never crashed. Of course, I run all legit software, but I can literally not remember my Ableton ever having crashed on this machine. That's not something I can say for the same software running on a PC. So if you want peace of mind and you want to just be able to pursue your flow and never be interrupted by technical challenges, Macs are worth their price. Okay. I hope this has been helpful for you. Leave me your comments below. I'm looking forward to the PC people maybe teaching me a thing or two that I don't know yet. But I stand by what I said, and the idea even of moving back to PC for me personally right now is inconceivable. I don't think I could ever do it. But let's see what comes out in the next few years. All right, I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy. Bye-bye.